What we saw on SportsCenter today was a fascinating discussion surrounding Lauri Markkanen and the possibility of him being targeted by the Los Angeles Lakers. The conversation started with the recognition of just how dominant Markkanen has looked playing in Eurobasket. Now, of course, everyone understands that Eurobasket is not the NBA, the competition is different, but when you look at his skill set, his confidence, and the way he's been performing on that stage, it's impossible to ignore the potential fit on a team like the Lakers. The panel emphasized that sliding him alongside Luka Doncic or even next to LeBron James would give Los Angeles a completely different dynamic offensively. The challenge, of course, lies in the cost. As was pointed out during the program, in order for the Lakers to realistically make a move for Markkanen, Austin Reaves would almost certainly have to be included in the deal. Rui Hachimura's name came up as well, with the possibility of him being part of a package to make salaries match. That's where things get tricky, because as one of the analysts stressed, moving both of those players still wouldn't be enough financially. Los Angeles would have to add more contracts, potentially Gabe Vincent or Max Christie, and even then, it may require the involvement of a third team to help balance out the numbers. From a basketball standpoint, though, the fit is what really excited the SportsCenter crew. Markkanen brings a level of shooting versatility that the Lakers haven't consistently had in their front court. He's a legitimate catch-and-shoot threat, a better off-ball scorer than most of their current options. And at his size, he can play anywhere from the 3 to the 5. That flexibility opens the door for the Lakers to create lineups that are both bigger and more versatile. Imagine a starting unit of Luka Doncic, Marcus Smart, Lauri Markkanen, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton. Suddenly, you've got shooting, size, and defensive versatility all in one group. That's the type of lineup that can compete at the highest level. The analysts also pointed out that Markkanen could effectively step into Hachimura's current role while giving the team even more upside. With his ability to stretch the floor, you can keep Ayton in his natural role as a traditional big running pick-and-roll actions while still maintaining floor spacing. It's not just about adding another scorer, it's about the way his presence would reshape how the Lakers operate offensively. Still, there's the contract situation. One perspective shared on the show was that Markkanen might project more as a third or even fourth option on a championship team. That's not a slight against him, but it does raise the question of value. Is it worth giving up young assets like Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura for a player who may not be your top scoring option? The counterpoint made was that sometimes being a third option is exactly what makes a team dangerous, especially when the first two are as dominant as Doncic and LeBron. The example of Giannis Antetokounmpo winning with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday was brought up, as well as Nikola Jokic capturing a title with Jamal Murray as his running mate. Another angle discussed on SportsCenter was the long-term view. In a post-LeBron era, the Lakers could potentially build around a core of Luka Doncic, DeAndre Ayton, and Lauri Markkanen. With Markkanen's size and shooting, you'd have two 7-footers who can rebound and defend, while still keeping the floor spaced for Doncic to operate. That kind of core could keep Los Angeles competitive for years, even after their current superstar window closes. The bottom line from today's discussion was clear. The idea of Lauri Markkanen in a Lakers uniform is intriguing, but the cost and timing will be crucial. This might not be a trade that happens during the season. In fact, several panelists suggested that the off-season could be a more realistic time frame, particularly if a sign-and-trade with Austin Reaves could be structured to better align with Markkanen's salary. For now, the question remains whether Los Angeles is willing to sacrifice both youth and depth in order to add a player who might fit more seamlessly into their lineup than anyone they currently have. So, SportsCenter left us with this. Lauri Markkanen may not be the superstar headline name like some of the others linked to the Lakers in the past, but when you look at his fit, his versatility, and his potential impact alongside their current stars, you can understand why this conversation is starting to gain traction. On SportsCenter, the conversation didn't stop at just Lauri Markkanen joining the Lakers. The panel dove deeper into the complexities of what a trade package might actually look like, and the discussion quickly became about more than just one player. The key point raised was that if Los Angeles were to go down this road, it wouldn't simply be a one-for-one type of move. Instead, it would be closer to a 4-for-1 scenario, where the Lakers would be giving up multiple rotation pieces in exchange for Markkanen, and potentially even bringing in additional players to balance things out. One of the intriguing ideas that came up was whether the Lakers could use this as an opportunity to bring in other contributors around the edges. D'Anthony Melton's name was specifically mentioned as a logical fit next to Luka Doncic in the backcourt. The thinking here is simple. If the Warriors continue to drag their feet, could Los Angeles step in and make a compelling case to land Melton as part of a larger reshuffling? He's the kind of defensive-minded guard who slots seamlessly into lineups, and his presence could soften the blow of losing someone like Austin Reeves. There was also speculation about other names potentially being folded into the deal. For instance, the idea of adding a veteran like Al Horford to provide leadership and frontcourt depth was floated. Even younger players like Andre Jackson Jr., should he become available, were brought up as possible secondary pickups. He's a 6'6" wing with length and athleticism, exactly the type of bench piece the Lakers could use if they were sending out multiple rotation players in the Markkanen trade. The broader point from the discussion was that this might not just be about acquiring Lauri Markkanen. It could be about repositioning the roster entirely by moving out Hachimura and Reeves while strategically pulling in new supporting pieces. The panel then broke down one of the trade frameworks being circulated. The Lakers would receive Lauri Markkanen. The Jazz would take back Terry Rozier, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, rookie Dalton Knecht, and multiple first-round picks, while Miami would act as a third team, landing Austin Reeves in the process. According to the report, Utah would walk away with Knecht and 3 first-rounders, while also absorbing contracts like Rozier and Hachimura. But, as was pointed out live on air, there are plenty of questions with this construction. Does Utah even have interest in Austin Reeves, given their crowded backcourt with several young guards already in place? Would they view Rozier as a piece worth keeping, or simply as a contract to eventually flip? The consensus was that Utah's real prize in such a scenario would be Knecht and the draft capital. Those future firsts, particularly from the Lakers and Miami, could be far more valuable than veterans like Rui or Rozier, who might just serve as salary fillers in the meantime. The Sports Center crew also challenged whether Miami truly needed to be involved at all. Their angle was that the Lakers and Jazz could likely structure something directly, with Los Angeles sending out Hachimura, Vincent, Knecht, and draft picks, while Utah returns Markkanen. By cutting out the heat, the Lakers might even position themselves to reroute Austin Reeves elsewhere, perhaps to a team that values him more and could send back an additional asset. That way, the Lakers wouldn't just be giving him up as part of a salary maneuver, but instead converting him into another useful player or draft pick. And that's where the discussion really focused. This type of move, if the Lakers pursued it, would need to be smart and layered. It's not just about getting Markkanen, it's about restructuring the roster in a way that makes sense long-term. If Los Angeles is going to give up someone as valuable as Reeves, they can't afford to simply toss him into a deal without maximizing his return. Instead, they need to identify what Utah actually wants, whether it's a wing, a young piece, or cap flexibility, and then find a third team that can provide that in exchange for Reeves. At the end of the segment, the message was clear. While a straight-up Lakers-Jazz deal could happen, the smarter path for Los Angeles might involve finding that extra step, that extra partner, to squeeze the most value out of their outgoing assets. Otherwise, they risk overpaying for Markkanen in a way that could hurt their depth and flexibility down the line. On SportsCenter, the final stretch of the debate brought everything full circle. The analysts pointed out that at its core, the deal really comes down to a simple question. Can the Lakers extract maximum value without overcomplicating the trade? The proposed structure has the Lakers receiving Lauri Markkanen, but the cost is steep. Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Knecht, and 2 first-round picks, one in 2026 and another in 2031. But the wrinkle here is the 2027 pick. Because Utah already controls it, the Lakers would have to find a way to turn it into a swap to make the math work. That's where the Jazz's position as the key facilitator becomes so important. With Utah in control of that 2027 pick, they can reconfigure it in ways no other team can, essentially turning one pick into two and giving the Lakers some flexibility they wouldn't otherwise have. The analysts stressed that this is exactly why Utah holds all the leverage. They can manipulate the draft capital to suit their needs while dangling Markkanen as the centerpiece. From the Lakers' perspective, though, this can't just be about landing one star and hoping it all works out. If Los Angeles is going to surrender this much, there has to be a broader vision. That's why names like DeAnthony Melton, Malik Beasley, or even Al Horford were mentioned again as possible complementary additions. The idea is simple. If the Lakers are going to push their chips to the center of the table, they can't afford to come away with only Markkanen. They need a package that reshapes their roster depth and gives them more than just one elite shooter. Another layer to the conversation involved Austin Reeves' future. As was emphasized on the program, Reeves is on an expiring contract, and his willingness, or lack thereof, to commit to a team like Utah could dictate whether he's even part of the equation. If Reeves has no interest in signing long-term with the Jazz, then Utah would be hesitant to take him on, which opens the door for a third team like Miami to get involved. Miami has been searching for backcourt stability and could see Reeves as a perfect insurance policy if their relationship with Tyler Herro continues to stall. That would also give Reeves a destination he might be happier with rather than landing in a rebuilding situation in Utah. The broader takeaway from SportsCenter was that this isn't just about fit on the floor. It's about fit for every side involved. For Utah, the deal would mark a turning point, moving on from Markkanen in exchange for Knecht, multiple picks, and potential flexibility to reshape the roster. For Miami, the involvement could hinge on whether Reeves is interested in joining them and whether they see him as part of their long-term core. And for the Lakers, the front office has to ask the hard question: is it worth giving up so much depth and future capital? And, if so, can they secure the extra commitments from other role players to justify it? The panel concluded with a cautious but optimistic outlook. On paper, the Lakers could end up with a front line featuring Doncic, Markkanen, LeBron, and Ayton, an imposing blend of size, shooting, and versatility. But the execution matters. Without the right complementary pieces, Los Angeles risks thinning out its roster too much in pursuit of one big name. And so, the discussion ended where it began. Yes, Markkanen is a fascinating target, but the Lakers have to be disciplined, creative, and deliberate if they want to make this gamble pay off.